So, as you recall, yesterday we were studying the 4-step ISM category management. This is the process, these 4 steps. And then this is the playbook that implements these 4 steps. So now today we're going to go look at this playbook again. And you can see here they've got a stage, which is these 7 stages here. And they've got activities in each of the stages and example of some of the methods. We're going to go look at these activities and methods in these stages here. So get rolling here. All right, external analysis. So remember from our playbook, we've got internal analysis we looked at. Now we're going to look at external analysis and category strategy development. We'll look at these 3 in the next one, B2. So cost and price structure, value change, you're looking at risk. Those are the kind of things you're looking at with external analysis. You're trying to understand the market and the suppliers. So organizations might search for the following as part of an external analysis: market information, or some people will call it market intelligence. You know, who are the suppliers? What's the capacity? What's the technology? What are the risks? And then map out current market position, leaders, and businesses on an upward trajectory that you like. You can ignore the ones on a downward trajectory. One of the things that can help you, and they teach this in the MCE course, is this structure, conduct, performance model. I'll call it an SCP model. And here's an example here. So this is one that was done for commercial vehicle tires a while back. And it just shows you structure. How is the industry structured? What do those changes in conduct, or was that structure cause for conduct? And then what does that conduct cause for performance? And then there's feedback loops. So these changes in performance cause these changes in structure. And what you want is implications for the future. And you're wrong a lot on these things, but that's okay. You're looking at the future. You just kind of figure out where the industry is headed. So you got a dynamic and a static, and the dynamic is what you want, because what the dynamic does is it gives you these implications for the future. Where is the industry headed? And then here's an article on how to build it. It gives you more detailed information on each of the parts. So that's the SCP model. Similar to that is the Porter's 5 forces model, which they teach in school a lot. Here's a how-to, and this one is consumer products. So this is an example of a Porter's 5 forces that's commercially done for a company called Value Line, which is a stock market company. And this is basically what it looks like. It's just paragraphs usually. Here's a template for both PowerPoint and Word that'll kind of give you more information on each of the areas. So new entrant suppliers, bargaining power suppliers, bargaining power buyers that are substitutes, and intensity of the rivalry. Those are Porter's 5 areas, and that's taught in every business school these days. And the McKinsey guys will tell you that Porter stole that from them. It's the structure part of the SCP model. Maybe it's a little bit of structure, a little bit of conduct. Here's also how to write a Porter's. And you've got one called the Day 1 analysis. Now, we actually used this in marketing, I think, in the divisions. It's a rough snapshot of a category that can be made in order to assess the possible sourcing difficulties. You're looking at another one of these 2x2 blocks. Number of suppliers, one or more than one, and number of buyers, one or more than one. It's kind of like, how do you deal with the suppliers in each case? So it's similar to the Kraljic matrix in that way. And here's an article on how to use it for negotiation. PESTLE analysis. There's also a steeple analysis, which is very similar to this. But what I would use this for is if I'm sourcing from certain parts of Asia that are kind of third world countries or Africa, then you want to kind of go through and make sure you understand legal, environmental, political, economic, and social kind of stuff. If you're just sourcing in the US, it's kind of overkill for US or Canada, maybe from Mexico. But, you know, here's some templates and how to do it. It's basically answering these questions: factors, opportunities, and threats. SWOT analysis, this is another one that's taught in every business school. And it's a good one. Usually what I'll do is the SCP or the porters on the industry itself, and then do a SWOT on each of the significant companies within the industry. Here's kind of how to write it and some templates. Here's the one on Costco. Again, written by the value line folks. But you see, it's nothing exciting. It's just paragraph form. Porter's Four Corners. So I try to do these when I'm out visiting suppliers, if I'm meeting with their senior management, because this kind of helps you understand where their senior management is headed, what drives them, what are their assumptions, what's their strategy, and what are their capabilities. Here's some examples here. Oh, crap, this thing doesn't want to. I don't know why it won't work, but half the time I have to redo these. But this is how to do it in some detail. And this will show you, I'll work on getting that thing be hooked up, but this will show you examples between like Pepsi and Coke and Burger King and McDonald's and some other stuff. So that's looking at the industry and the companies within the industry. Now we want to look at strategy development. Brings the learnings from the first three stages to define the category strategies and suppliers that are aligned with the business requirements. So it lies at the heart of the organization's category management approach, and it classifies different categories and describes a strategy suitable for each. So you're basically segmenting your portfolio of suppliers on which ones you're going to spend time with and which ones you're not. Again, this is the Kraljic matrix. You got strategic, leverage, bottleneck, and routine. We've seen this chart before. These are the guys like Cummins and Eaton and those folks. These are your fasteners and stuff like that. Tires are up here in leverage. These would be some of these computer chips that we have a hard time getting. Here is, doesn't want to work. Okay, Kraljic matrix. It'll kind of explain it there. Here is strategy. You know, here's some of the things you can do with each quadrant on what you're trying to accomplish. And then once you've determined where you want to be with the Kraljic matrix, say you're in the leverage category, then you can go over to this sourcing wheel. You can say, okay, I'm over here in leverage. These are the three strategies for leverage: market-based contracting, EFX tendering, competitive negotiations, and hopefully in here, this one will tell you kind of what each one is. So some examples and that type of stuff. So this is kind of takes the strategy and then gives you a sourcing strategy, basically is what this is giving you. Here's an interesting one. This is the suppliers looking at PACCAR. Is PACCAR an attractive customer or not very attractive? And then what are the sales from to PACCAR, large or small? So, you know, not a very attractive customer and the sales are small, you're a nuisance. But if you're a very attractive customer and your sales are large, you're core. So this is just the salespeople looking at us. And that one doesn't work either. I think it has to do something with moving to a different room or something. I don't know. But anyway, what you can do is combine the two. So this is the Kraljic matrix. And then this is what we were just looking at here, the supplier preferencing matrix. So if you're put them in the Kraljic matrix at leverage, then you go think, well, where does the supplier have me? They might have them in develop. And what most of these things do is they try to tell you how to handle the relationship. So leverage and develop, suppliers development potential, encourage participation in savings opportunities, that type of thing. So again, it's just kind of pointing you in the direction of how do you work the relationship, the supplier relationship. And here's one that gets even into more detail, the purchasing chessboard. I just like this one because it's got such a cool picture to it. But basically, it takes the 2x2 box and it gives you, these are your strategies. You got 4 strategies. And what they've done is they've flipped it. So leverage is usually up in this corner, but now they got it down here and they got bottleneck up there. And you'll see them do that. It's just because of the way that they did the axes. So supplier power and demand power. And then they take those 4 strategy and they come up with 16 levers. So there's 4 levers for each strategy. And then this is how you kind of get to where you want to go. You fill out these little things on supplier power, and then you got the one for demand power. Then you add up the score. So supplier power is 1.9, demand power is 3.5. Then you go down here and 3.5 this way and 1.9. It puts you kind of in this area here. And you look at all of these strategies in the green and pick one of those. So this one's trying to be very detailed about how you work the relationship. And really to understand it more, you kind of got to buy his book. But it's kind of an interesting approach. Strategy cube, it's a different way of looking at the same thing. Create, improve, deliver, innovation, leverage, restructuring. It kind of gives you some ideas on how to work the relationship. And then you've got the sourcing process. So standardized sourcing process across divisions, category management strategy and plans drive the sourcing cycle, not the other way around. Category management strategy is used to develop the sourcing strategy. So the category management strategy comes from something like the Kraljic matrix, and then the sourcing strategy will come from that little wheel we were looking at or some other thing that complements the category management strategy. Sourcing decisions are proactive and driven by strategies rather than tactical decisions. And we must determine where and whom we should buy while minimizing risk and cost. So sourcing strategy, here's one that we have here at PACCAR. This is on Excel and it's got a bunch of tabs. So you'd fill out the spend analysis here and supplier overview and status, market analysis, technology roadmap. And then you go and hit this button and it automatically populates this front page. But this is really a sourcing strategy and how you're going to approach meeting your commodity strategy and then individually sourcing parts. Key activities, strategic sourcing process affected by category management, outsourcing and insourcing. The category is not core to the business, it's a candidate for outsourcing. And our core business is assembling trucks, not making parts. So decide upon negotiation strategies and tactics, establish the type of supplier relationship, and there's all the things we're looking at really kind of deal with supplier relationships. But really, the first decision you need to make is, oops, are we going to make the part? Or are we going to buy the part? Make the parts or services in-house at your own plants, or buy the parts or services from the supply base. We don't generally make parts here. We don't have the space. And then if you're going to buy the parts, you're going to be single source, sole source, multi-source. And then here's a book. This is a book on category management. I've got it on my desk if you're interested. And then outsource, nearshore, reshore, offshore, best cost country, low cost country. These are all outsource options. Establish percentage of spend for each supplier and identify capabilities suppliers must have, and establish criteria used to evaluate and select the suppliers. This is out of your CP laser. This is something you can use for the ISM. This kind of is the same thing as that other spreadsheet I was showing you that we have from PACCAR. And then if you like that, here's a workbook you can use to kind of work through it. This is from an ISM class, but it will talk about each of these things, category management process, and then here's the category plan and how to fill it out. All right, so Claire Egan is a category manager for Acme. She's looking at an issue with one of her categories. Her supervisor wants to ensure that Acme has the titanium lag bolts required to assemble their main product. In the past, AFAB has supplied all the bolts, but has run into titanium material shortages and internal capacity constraints. Otherwise, AFAB has been a good supplier. What type of supply-based optimization should Claire recommend to her supervisor for the lag bolts? What do you think? I don't think you want to send them out to Mexico if you're having problems. And then single source or sole source, do you want to just have one or do you want to have many? Or two, three? Given the nature of the problem, I would say it's probably going to be D. Let's see what these guys say. D it is. All right, we got 7 questions out there, numbers 8 through 14. Go ahead and get on them and we'll go over answers at 2:26. Give you enough time to hopefully get through most of them. So go ahead and get started and raise your hand when you get done. Oh, I guess we've got time here, so let's go over some answers here real quick. All right. Number 8. 8 is alpha. Because the category manager will look at all the suppliers assigned to him or her within a category, which is a portfolio of suppliers, and determine where they fit in the Kraljic matrix. 9 is delta. What Joanne needs to do is to decide what type of supplier relationship Acme needs. The scarcity of rubber would suggest a single source with a good access to raw materials. Yeah, yes and no. 10 is Bravo, because Greg has completed everything in the first stage of the category development, establish and prioritize categories. So this is the process. The next stage is develop the strategy. 11 is Alpha, because Jeff is confused about how the sourcing strategy and the category strategy relate to one another. And the sourcing strategy is a subset of the category strategy. 12 is Delta. This model influenced Porter's thinking early in his career. So Porter's model is really the structure piece of the SCP model. And 13 is Bravo. Strategic sourcing plan uses information and category management plan to determine how to communicate the offer to the supply base and how many suppliers should be used. That's your strategic sourcing plan. And 14 is Charlie. The Dutch windmill will help Beth set a category strategy. The other answers are all analyses of the market. The Dutch windmill is really what what should the supplier relationship look like? All right, any questions? All right, if not, tomorrow we will go on B1, B2, which is implementing a category strategy. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.